Greetings. Welcome to your post-cabinet briefing, an update on pertinent matters of national importance made by your government to the benefit of the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. I am Dr. Marcus Natter, Cabinet Secretary. The Cabinet Ministers met under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, on Monday, 31st October 2022, and made several noteworthy decisions to improve the well-being of our people. 4 legislative bills were approved by the Cabinet and will be presented during the November 4th sitting of the National Assembly. The Cabinet approved the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill, which seeks to make much-needed urgent changes to protect victims of domestic violence and provide them with swift access to justice. The bill also allows victims of domestic violence or persons on their behalf to apply to the Magistrates' Court or the High Court for protection orders. This will rectify issues raised with the Ministry of Gender Affairs that the cost of obtaining protection orders only in the High Court was prohibitive for many victims and their families. The bill also expands the definition of economic abuse to cover situations where perpetrators have full access and control over victims' financial resources and gives the power to the Director of Gender Affairs under the Act, rather than the Director of Social and Family Services, as previously legislated. The approval of this bill aligns with the Cabinet's promise to take steps to curtail the increased scourge of domestic violence in our society. This is the first such step. The Cabinet approved the Small Business Amendment Bill, which seeks to change the minister with responsibility for administering the Small Business Act and appointing the Small Business Development Advisory Committee to the minister with specific responsibility for small business. Previously, the minister responsible was the Minister of Industry and Commerce. The Cabinet has also agreed to amend the definition of small business to include businesses in which not more than 30 persons are employed. Previously, the number of employees was limited to 25. This decision aligns with the government's fundamental goal to provide small businesses with the necessary governmental support to grow, thrive, and employ more people. The Cabinet approved the Companies Amendment Bill, which resolves a constitutional issue created by the 2021 amendment, which allowed for the permanent dissolution of exempt companies to comply with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the European Union recommendations. The bill seeks to allow creditors, directors, shareholders, and other interested persons to apply to the High Court to deal with any assets previously held by the struck exempt companies. The bill therefore seeks to bring the Act into compliance with the Constitution so that assets are not vested in the state without alternative options available to the beneficial owners of those assets. The Cabinet approved the Evangelistic Faith Church St. Kitts Incorporation Bill, which seeks to give the Evangelistic Faith Church situated at the Alley Sandy Point, St. Kitts, the power to own land and otherwise have legal standing. The Cabinet was satisfied that all of the legislative prerequisites for this private bill were satisfied and wishes the Church, its worshippers, and leaders the very best in the new phase of its development. Cognizant of the need to enhance the manufacturing sector and boost economic growth and sustainability, the Cabinet approved additional research to determine the viability of a special economic zone for St. Kitts and Nevis. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, special economic zones are defined as geographically delimited areas within which governments facilitate industrial activity through fiscal and regulatory incentives and infrastructure support. As part of the government's thrust to revitalize the manufacturing sector in the Federation, the Cabinet endorsed the revised National Manufacturing Strategy 2022 to 2027. The implementation of this strategy is expected to enhance the manufacturing sector's contribution to the gross domestic product, create new jobs, and increase the manufacturing competitiveness of the Federation. The Cabinet approved the establishment of a project scholarship program for postgraduate technical training under the project entitled Improving Environmental Management through Sustainable Land Management. The program will prioritize 5 thematic areas, namely geographic information systems, land use planning, sustainable land management, climate change and/or climate-smart agriculture, and environmental management or ecosystem restoration. Those were your updates for our post-cabinet briefing for October 31st, 2022. Your government remains steadfast in its commitment to serve you with transparency and integrity. Thank you for tuning in.